Hey everybody, happy Halloween. I hope everybody's having a good time. If you have kids and you guys know what you guys are doing is taking your kids out to trick or treat, or if you don't have kids, you just want out to go party at a Halloween party, well, you guys know how to get down. But here today on this episode, we're going to be focusing on Tuesday wrestling with one minor setback. I should have known about this. NWA Power is not going to be on there, just throwing some free matches from their latest pay per view from this past weekend for Salmon. Well, I don't have to do that. So I decided let's just focus on the actual Tuesday wrestling, which is, of course, the New Japan more on the Super Junior Tag League and, of course, NXT Halloween Havoc Night 2. So we're going to focus on those two. And of course, we have some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. Mostly, we got, of course, the GCW for the Please Buddy show taking place this coming Friday. So we know we got that coming up, and of course, a couple of more updates to tell what's been going on as well. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where wrestling is not as big, but it is growing. And of course, we do some discussion videos talking about various topics such as storylines, the factions, belts, history on pro wrestling on certain stories and all this other stuff. We do more news updates and various other cool things. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel. And of course, if you like this episode, please click on the like button or leave us a nice comment down below. Now let's begin with our very first review, and it's of course more with New Japan Pro Wrestling with Super Junior Tag League. The first match we have out of matches involving the tournament, let's start with we have the DKC versus Taguchi. No, DKC and Taguchi taking on Musashi and Yo. Now, of course, there are going to be some comedy aspects of this match, coming mostly from Taguchi himself. But however, I don't know how in the world did Yo how to do the Paradise Lock? The only two people I've seen so far, well, mostly I've seen is Sanada, and now recently Mai Sakurai from Stardom in DDM. And now Yo learned it. But you know who was having a little crack at this? Seeing Taguchi in a Paradise Lock? It's none other than one of the men who invented the Paradise Lock. We're talking about Milano Collection TA. Of course, he's having a field day, but however, it was DKC who had to do the whole match all by himself. But unfortunately, he ended up in the direct drive by Yo. But in the post match, oh my god, they were having so much fun with Taguchi, knowing he ended up in the Paradise Lock. Taguchi was not a happy camper, knowing that this was all Milano Collections TA's fault for teaching people how to use this technique. I'm not sure if Taguchi will agree with Rocky because Rocky tried to get that move banned, but no one was listening. We'll see. But however, in the point system right now, we have for Masushi and Yo, they currently right now have 6 points with 3 wins and 4 losses. But as for DKC and Taguchi, they only have 4 points. That means they only have 2 wins and 5 losses. So that pretty much it's right there. Now let's move on to our next match. We have Just Five Guy members Taka Michinoku and Doiki taking on LIJ Los Ingorbenables de Japón, Titan and Bushi. And of course, Naito decided to enjoy the match himself. Now, I know in the X factor of this match, Taka and Doiki have not have a good tournament. They only had 2 points, but this match ended with, of course, Titan applied the Angel Immortal onto Taka, but it was Bushi who picked up the winning match. However, this match ended with LIJ winning 8 points. That means they have 4 wins and 3 losses. As for Just Five Guys, as I said, 2 points with just 1 win and 6 losses. So I'm going to presume that they probably will be already out of the tournament. Next match, we have the TMDK, the Ichiban Sweet Boy, Kosa Fujita, and the Sniper of the Skies, Robbie Eagles. They take on Jet Setters, Kevin Knight and Kushida. I thought this was a fantastic match. Now, of course, there was going to be a little bit of the submission coming from both Kushida and Fujita. But however, that did not go exactly in that fashion because it was Kevin Knight with the spike DDT onto Fujita to pick up the win. So they ended with 8 points. So they have 4 wins and 3 losses. As for TMDK, they only have 3 wins and 4 losses. Now, our next match, of course, is the House of Torture, Kanemaru and Sho versus the War Dogs. But even though the War Dogs are the most hated group, they decided to have a little fun by imitating. Maloney decided to dress up like Dick Togo coming out with the garage. And as for Clark Connors, he tried to pretend that he is Yujiro Takahashi. Now, of course, it was basically like a bit of friendly competition. I don't know if the House of Torture are still considered as Bullet Club. I feel like they should just kick them out and just do their own thing. But of course, there was going to be dirty tricks coming from both sides. But the best trick came in, of course, when Evil, Yujiro, and Dick Togo showed up. Ghetto was going to show up and give them the helping hand. But it wasn't enough. Of course, this ended with, of course, a simple move by Kanemaru to Connors with picking up the one with the inside cradle. However, this is another rule of thumb. As you know, House of Torture are the kind of people that would try to get what they want, no matter the cost, no matter what they have to do. This could be one of those factors that could play out for them in the future. They could easily tell the War Dogs that they do have a win and they can get a shot of those titles and take them away easily. But I'm sure Finley will never allow that to happen. So we'll see what happens until that. Our next match, let's go back a little bit for that match with House of Torture and War Dogs. The House of Torture right now has 10 points with 6 wins. And what is it? 6 wins? 5 wins and 2 losses. But as for War Dogs, they only have 4 wins and 3 losses with 8 points. So House of Torture are the kind of team that would try to get in front of the line to try to ensure they win. But we'll see how this goes. However, our main event features Catch 2-2 members of the United Empire, Francisco Kera and TJP taking on Wado and Despy. Now, I thought this was a good match, but I think this match tells another fantastic story between Despy and Akira. Akira has always dreamed about taking on the best junior heavyweights in the world, and amongst them was Despy. He never got that singles run that he wanted against him, so this was more like a preview because Will Ospreay, the only reason he brought Francisco Kera, he thought that he would reshape the junior heavyweight division because he felt that under Despy as the leader, the top guy, it was a huge mess. But we'll see what that happens. But however, Wato hold on as possible, but apparently it was the 2-2 that finished the job, giving Catch the 2 with 8 points with 4 wins and 3 losses. So I don't know if they have capability, but however, right now, Wado and Despy are currently tied with the House of Torture with 10 points each. So basically, anything could go down. I would like to see Despy and Wado win. That's something that will be fun. I think that's pretty much it right now with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I believe it's time for our next review, and that is NXT Halloween Havoc Night 2. Okay, our final review NXT Halloween Havoc Night 2. Now, if you guys have missed Night 1, let me give you a quick recap. We did have the tag team titles and the women's championship on the line. And of course, they were both exchanged. For our tag team champions, we have Chase Hughes, Andre Chase, and Duke Hudson. And as for our women's division, we have Lyra Valkyria. We had other good matches, such as the Devil's Playground, the Lights Out match, various other cool things. Now we're going to see what happens in night 2. Our main event features, of course, the NXT title on the line. This is part 3 between Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes. So there's a lot of things that could take place. We even have the North American title and the WWE Women's Tag Team titles on the line as well. But let's start with our very first match that we have. We have the Tables, Ladders, and Scares match. This is between the Creed brothers versus the cousins, Humberto Carrillo and his cousin, Angel Garza. Now, this particular match was set upon after that Bada Bing, Bada Boom Battle Royale. Now, of course, we know the initial what happened that time. The cousins were eliminated out of that tournament. However, the ref did not see that. But in the process, it was the Creed brothers that were caught and eliminated instead. But however, of course, last week on night 1 of Halloween Havoc, the Creed brothers wanted to have another opportunity. But the host of that time, Shotzi Blackheart, Shotzi and Scarlett thought, how about they just not have a regular match? So they had this. They spin the wheel, and this is the result. But you know this was going to be a major, major, brutal match, no matter where it was going to go. However, it was Garza who got knocked out outside, but it was the Brutus bomb that sealed the deal for the Creed brothers when they took out Humberto through a table, and it was over right from there. Now, of course, when it comes to Halloween, there's always people playing the Ouija board. However, while Shotzi and Scarlett were doing that, apparently someone decided to step in to play the little host, and that is, of course, Alba Fire and Aladdin, who stepped in for they took over that. Now, our first interview with Mackenzie. Mackenzie was already in interviewing Tiffany Stratton because she'll be facing Fallon Henley after what happened last week. Of course, Tiffany was adamant about how things went down with her. So she said she was done with this whole thing. But unfortunately, that did not happen. I'll get that in a bit. Now, Joe Gacy did put out a video promo. Now, as you know, Joe Gacy completely lost everything. The schism is no longer what it is anymore, with the result of the Dyad losing to the Creed brothers. Ava Reigns, well, we all suspect where she probably will be heading soon. So basically, giving his little propaganda. Now, we were supposed to have a match between Fallon Henley and Tiffany Stratton, but Tiffany attacked her before the bell ever rang and took her out by attacking her knee, tried to make her pay for what happened last week. So the match kind of went into a no contest regardless how things went down. So I'm sure Fallon will get revenge for what just transpired. Now, apparently the Metaphor decided to dress up as the Scooby Gang. Noam Dar dressed up as Scooby-Doo, while Oro Menza dressed up as Shaggy. I think Jakara Jackson dressed up as Daphne, and Lash Legend possibly as Velma. As you know, last week, Akira Tozawa stole the Heritage Cup in order to get what he wants. So we're gonna talk a little bit more on that one because I'm not gonna to jump ahead. Of course, there was gonna be some scary moments on that with all four members of the Metaphor. However, at the end, Dar got what he wanted, his cup, in exchange that Tosawa gets what he wants, and what he wants is a shot of the Heritage Cup. And of course, Dar gave him that, but unfortunately, he ended up being eaten by some zombies. Yeah, so that's how it ended. Now, our next match we have, of course, is the NXT North American title. Nathan Frazier takes on Dirty Dom. You know that Mommy was going to be there to ensure that he does not lose the belt. But however, as always, that's how it always plays. But Frazier was taken out and hit his head somewhere in the commentary table. He was already out of it, but Dom applied the frog splash to pick up the win. But however, out of nowhere, the former North American champion, Wesley, appeared out of nowhere. No one expected him to show up. So it looks like he has some other plans. And of course, Rhea Ripley reminded him what happened last time. I'm sure probably Wesley has something up his sleeve. I'm not sure, but we just gotta wait and see what he does next. Now, as you know, Chase, you are the new NXT Tag Team Champions. But of course, this was gonna happen when as soon as they lost these belts, that the family were going to request a rematch. But of course, Chase U has no problem giving them what they want. So basically, they're like saying, "I get it. You guys lost, but you do have a right for a rematch." So not a big deal. Now, let's see, what's the next match? Oh yeah, our next match is Braun Breaker versus Mr. Stone. Now, if you guys remember, not too long ago, Braun Breaker attacked Von Wagner and crushed his head through steel steps on top of each other. But it was Mr. Stone who felt affected with what happened to Von Wagner. You know, Von Wagner was someone that he cared about. He became not only his manager but also his friend, who has been helping him get through his life story about the kind of things that he's been through in his past. But of course, Braun Breaker likes to make fun of him. But however, Mr. Stone tried to dodge him as much as possible, tried to avoid him as possible in order to get the final blow, but it did not do him a favor. He ended up in a big spear. But of course, Braun Breaker was going to, as soon as he won, finish off Mr. Stone. But out of nowhere, Wagner showed up to save the day and helped his friend. He wasn't going to let Braun Breaker get away this time, but he demanded a match against Braun Breaker as soon as possible. Even though Stone, who cares about him, he knows he's not ready just yet. So we'll see what happens down the line. Now, our next match is the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Daisy Jane and Thea Hale taking on Piper Nevins and Chelsea Green. Of course, it was going to be a good match. But to be frank with everybody, I would have preferred Daisy Jane and Thea Hale obtain the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. That would have been a lot more fairer to me. But of course, Daisy Jane tried to cheat his way through by using the belt, but it didn't do any favor until Chelsea Green applied the unprettier, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match is the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament. Lola Vice versus Jordan Kalani. I have to say, Jordan Kalani really pulled off a good match because she got hurt in the match by her knee. But she could have won the match if it wasn't for the involvement of Raquel Gonzalez trying to distract her. And of course, resulted of Lola Vice winning the tournament when she did a spinning heel kick. However, because she won the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament, she could issue a challenge towards Lyra Valkyria for the NXT Women's Championship. But I highly doubt that there's going to be a title change sooner. But we'll see what happens after that. Now, our main event, of course, is part 3 between two wrestlers that know each other too well. Carmelo Hayes and the Tsar, Ilya Dragunov. So basically, there's been back and forth between them. It was a good match, not going to lie. However, when things got out of hand, that's when we saw an unsurprising guest, and that is Trick Williams. Now, the initial assumption is, Of course, did Carmelo Hayes attack Drake? That's always been what happened last week. Now, of course, Baron Corbin believes he did it. So does Dijak. So does everyone around. They believe you, Hayes, did this to him because of your jealousy. So that's always been what was going on. But of course, it didn't do any favors for Hayes because it kind of he got knocked out with the Torpedo Moscow, losing the match. However, in the post match, we with Dragunov winning the match, retaining his title, Williams decided to pick him up. Now I don't know what's going on, but the obvious thing is it Hayes who attacked him or what is really happening? But however, something happened right on the backstage. Dragunov was viciously attacked by Corbin. Corbin, who's been determined to win the NXT title to prove once and for all that they need to stop with these crybabies to set an example. He felt that Dragunov has been ducking him. Dragunov doesn't duck anybody. He just gets challengers left and right. But I'm sure Dragunov is not going to let this one slide one way or another by Corbin. But we will see what happens next week. So I think that's pretty much it right now with this, with our reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have so far. Now, as you know, this coming Friday we have the latest GCW, Please Buddy. For the record, I haven't seen the latest one that came out, Blood on the Hills. I'll make that as a priority as possible for watching this one, the Please Buddy show. Apparently, this one will take. This one is stacked, from what I understand. But here's the matches that take place. We do have the GCW World Title defended. That dickhead Blake Christian defends it against Warhorse. We have Maki Ito versus Shaza McKenzie. Gringo Loco versus Mike Bailey. The Deathmatch Royalty take on the couple Charlie Evans and Everett Connors. So that's going to be fun. Los Macizos team up with Jimmy Lloyd to take on the Second Gear Reject. We have two members of the Second Gear crew team up with John Wayne Murdoch. The War Dogs, more consistently with Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd, they take on Davey Bang and August Matthews. Then we got Boosie taking on Violence It's Forever. Jordan Oliver versus Man Like DeReese versus Alec Price. And then finally, Santana Jackson versus everybody's favorite dad, Dan the Dad. Now, moving on. For the Wrestling Revolver Unreal, which takes place later on this month on the 16th. What should I say? Next month on November, my bad. I'm sleepy here. So anyway, on November 16th, Athena and Billy Starks have been announced to appear on this show. That's going to be great. Of course, we have the West Coast Pro Whiplash show on the 17th of November. Rachel Ellering versus Sandra Moon. Now, interesting developments have arisen coming from PW Insider. As you know, Sarray, formerly from NXT, returned to Japan. However, she's been negotiating her negotiations to come back to the U.S., but not with WWE. Now, I know some of you are going to say, if it's not with WWE, could it be with AEW? I'm not sure, but I'm sure with AEW that would be great. I mean, but she does have many options. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she just goes back to the U.S. as an independent wrestler, as we say it here in the States, because over there in Japan they call it freelancers. But yes, I would be surprised on that. So we'll see about that, what happens. So I'll stick close to that one, much as possible if whatever information I can get. So I think that's pretty much it for now. So I say let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. You probably asked me why did I did only 2 reviews for this particular episode. Well, I had to go to work, and that was the reason. So I had to go back to my regular day job. I know some of you may think it's boring, but it's not. I enjoy it because I get to do a lot of thinking. But anyway, for our next episode, we do have AEW Dynamite. We continue with more of Super Junior Tag League, and I just recently found out we do have Bakagaiji and Friends. I think this is volume 8, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but we will see what happens. I'm still a little bit behind with the Stardom Goddesses Tag League, as you know, and a few other events, but we'll get to that as soon as possible. But for now, we'll just leave things as it is, and I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.